Stronger, more energy drive. mdriveformen.com today. Refine your prime with mDrive. I want to thank Chris Broussard, Eddie House, Chris Haynes, TJ Hushman-Zada. Well, in our best to last, people hand out awards all the time. I've told you this before. The NBA awards are kind of ridiculous. Like, they're not defined. Like, the MVP to me has always been like, well, what does that mean? Is it the best player? If it's just that, call it that. Is it the most valuable player? Westbrook won because he had triple doubles, but they couldn't get out of the first round. How valuable does it make? It makes him talented, but how valuable's a triple double? LeBron has them all the time, and teams lose. So I thought, let's create easily definable, wrap your arms around it, no confusion awards that virtually nobody could argue. Are we ready to go? The Herd's NBA regular season awards. Let's start with this. The Best Player Award. Here's the current best player in the NBA. The winner is Kevin Durant. Okay, this was LeBron's award for about 12 years. I think he's the best player. He's now the best offensive player on any given night in the league, he and James Harden. He's a better defensive player than LeBron. I think he's had a very good year health-wise. There's been a little bit of this, he a little snippy here and there. But in the end, who in the NBA, Game 7 of a finals, who do you want to take the final shot? That, to me, is the best player in the NBA, and Kevin Durant wins our Best Player in the NBA award. Now, NBA has a Most Improved Player. We're offering a Least Improved Player. Ben Simmons. You can't even argue it. There's so much I love about his game. 6'10 and a half, great ball handler, strong, finishes at the rim, plays defense. Incredible vision. He cannot shoot. He's shooting 21% outside of 10 feet. Okay, you can't, God gave you all these gifts, and I'm not overly religious. But when the man upstairs gives you gifts, you have a certain responsibility to yourself to work on them. Less dating famous people. Work on your jumper. I mean, this is ridiculous. He's got a in 2019, you got to be able to shoot, or you become a guy late in games. Nobody has to guard. You can argue who's gotten better. Nobody has the talent that's just sat on it for an off season like Ben Simmons. How about Most Overrated Player? Yeah, I said it. Kawhi Leonard. Doesn't make teammates better, doesn't pass, doesn't communicate. Toronto 17-5 when he doesn't play. They're statistically better when he doesn't play. He's missed 22 games and hasn't really had a major injury. I think he's a very, very good basketball player. But don't be putting him in the Kevin Durant class. Don't be putting him in the Steph Curry, Giannis class. He doesn't really communicate. If you want a franchise player, he's a very odd personality. And I understand a lot of it. He's been overlooked. But you can't miss 22 games. You can't, disappear last year from San Antonio. At some point, there's questions that have to be asked, and I'm asking them. I think he's good, but I think we've anointed him to a level he just doesn't reach if you're considering everything. Teammate, communicator, passer, healthy, ready to play, easy to figure out in your own locker room. Kawhi Leonard, Most Overrated Player. The best losers this year are the New York Knicks. Listen, the Philadelphia 76ers tanked for 5 years. They still haven't won Bupkis. The Knicks are tanking 1 year to get Zion. It's brilliant. I mean, you got to give the New York Knicks credit. They don't win much, but they know how to tank. They're going to have as good odds as anybody to get Zion Williamson. And they didn't have to tank for 6 years to do it. Now, they haven't been very good, but they've been actively trying to win. And they brokered a deal. They cleared up cap space. They can take 2 max players and get the #1 pick. That's how you do it. If you're going to tank briefly.
Yeah, do it properly.
And they've been the best losers in the NBA. How about the worst winners? The Lakers. Why are you suddenly hot? We wanted you to win all year. You couldn't. Now you've won 6 of 9. Last week you beat 2 playoff teams. What are you doing, Alex Caruso? Start being Alex Caruso. What the hell happened? Lakers, here's how it works. If you're bad, you want to lose in the last 3 weeks. That's what you want to do to increase your chances in the ping pong lottery. The Lakers are finally hot. at the exact time you don't want to, as a bad team, be hot. NBA hands out Executive of the Year. We're handing out Co-Executives of the Year, Dell Demps and Magic Johnson. As my wife says, there are two ways to lead, by being a great example or a horrible warning. They're both effective. These guys wrote a how not to make a trade guide. Dell Demps got petty, held a grudge, and blew up his own career. And Magic Johnson and his staff leaked everything to the papers, blowing up his team's chemistry. Don't talk to the press. Don't sneak things to the internet. And certainly, Dell Demps, don't get petty. The Lakers offered everything shy of the logo, and he was not interested for Anthony Davis, who's a great player but hasn't shown the ability to carry a franchise. That was the biggest non-trade trade in league history, and for that, giving everybody an example of how not to make a deal, they win the Co-Executive of the Year. All right, time for the Sixth Man of the Year. The NBA hands that out. We're giving ours to Kyrie Irving. Now, I know that feels strange because he starts, right? But they're 11-3 when he doesn't play. So he's about the sixth most important Celtic, and God knows I have no idea how that's even possible. How can somebody as good as Kyrie Irving stunt the Celtics offense? But he does. They're significantly better from the efficiency standpoint and the winning standpoint when he doesn't play. So for being about the sixth most important Celtic in value, he wins our Sixth Man of the Year. The NBA hands out a Defensive Player of the Year. We're handing out one too, Kevin Durant. He's defensive about everything. And he locked up the award with this.
Talk for a while.
Why do you care?
Because you usually talk.
Oh, well, I ain't feel like talking the last couple of days.
Has anything to do with conversation about free agency?
Yeah, that's the conversation you're going to have. I have nothing to do with the Knicks. I don't know who traded Porzingis. They got nothing to do with me. I'm trying to play basketball. Y'all come here every day, ask me about free agency, ask my teammates, my coaches. You rile up the fans about it. Let us play basketball. That's all I'm saying. And now when I don't want to talk to y'all, it's a problem with me. Come on, man.
You weren't talking.
So? Who are you? Why do I got to talk to you?
How are you playing? How's the team playing in the last couple weeks?
I'm done. You know you don't care about that.
He gets very defensive. So we think
defensive, not defensive.
Well, you know, we think he's the Defensive Player of the Year because
he's the Defensive Player of the Year.
He gets defensive about everything. And finally, the NBA has a Comeback Player of the Year. We're handing out a Please Don't Comeback Player of the Year to Carmelo Anthony. Atlanta, Houston, Chicago. Rockets basically paid him to stay away. Listen, it's over. He's going to make the Hall of Fame. He scored a bunch of points. He was an offensively gifted player. But come on, man. He's not a chemistry guy. He doesn't work. Please don't come back. You had your career. It drove me crazy. You drove me nuts. I was never into it. You have a good business mind. He's pretty good on the business side, and he was a great offensive player. But all these teams trying to engineer a new Carmelo. Maybe he can come off the bench. Maybe he can give us he refuses to shoot a three. He's not in great shape. He doesn't want to play defense. He doesn't want to come off the bench. He don't want to be part of a system. Please don't come back, Carmelo Anthony. So I think my awards were very easy. A lot of clarity. I've never understood the MVP award. Like the highest. I
think people just define the MVP by whatever they feel like the MVP is that year.
Yeah, but what is?
And we always mention the postseason when it comes to the MVP, and it's not a postseason award.
No, that's fair. It's not. I think we struggle with the word valuable. That's why I think the NBA should just have Best Player of the Year. The Player of the Year.
Just Player of the Year.
Like college basketball has Player of the Year award. This guy was the Player of the Year. And you'd be like, yeah, like Zion as a Player of the Year.
No, I do think calling it Player of the Year would be more accurate.
Yeah. We're arguing over valuable is, I could make the argument Chris Paul's more valuable than James Harden on his own team. Because when they play together, they have an amazing record. And when they're just James, it doesn't work quite as well. He becomes a little too ball-centric.
And the Warriors are always going to take it away from each other. It's never going to be Steph or Durant.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Best player.
Give me that. I just want to add, I only have a minute left on the show. The players voted on most overrated player.
There we go.
Well, 1 minute. I'm just giving it 1 minute.
Okay.
I'm sneaking it in the back door of the show. Westbrook was voted the most overrated player in the league. Would you have any comment on that?
I mean,
I don't think
I'm sure you consider it to be a win.
Oh, for who?
It was only a quarter of the league that participated in this poll, by the way.
But apparently the most accurate players were polled.
Oh, okay.
I'm
I mean,
becoming you.
James Harden was on there too. I think there's a little bit of, hateration going on there. To me, it's always the same. If you feel like they're overrated, go average a triple-double this year then.
I will say this. Andrew Wiggins, I've seen him play live 4 times. He's a good player. He just never popped. He just kind of, I told a buddy of mine, Scott Shapiro's a big Timberwolves fan. And I used to tell him, I'm like, I've seen him play, dude. Nobody can score 27 invisibly like Andrew Wiggins. You look up and you're like, how do you score 27? I always said that's a barometer to me. Do you, like when LeBron would go on an 8-0 run in a game, like you felt the point. Remember when LeBron, Bosh, and D Wade were together? If D Wade was physically kind of running down, he was eroding a little bit. But if D Wade had a big second quarter, you're like, you could feel it. It was like D Wade owned the quarter. It elevated the team. Like D Wade, you felt his points. They were physical. Little guy going to the basket. He'd jam on people.
He doesn't bring the energy.
Andrew Wiggins drops 24, and I never feel it. He just kind of slides in 24. That's a big deal to me. Like when Zion for Duke went on a run, he took the game over. The temperature in the room changed. With Andrew Wiggins, he scores. He's talented, but the temperature doesn't change. He doesn't.